Good morning. To start, let's address a fundamental question. Do you believe human activities contribute to climate change?
Yes, absolutely. The scientific consensus is very clear on this. Human activities are the primary driver of the climate change we are observing today. The main cause is the release of greenhouse gases from burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas for energy, transportation, and industry. This, combined with practices like deforestation, which removes the trees that absorb carbon dioxide, has significantly increased the Earth's temperature, leading to global warming.
Speaking of pollution, which type personally bothers you the most, and why?
While they are all concerning, plastic pollution is particularly bothersome to me because it's so visible and persistent. When I see plastic bags trapped in trees, or learn about the great garbage patches in the ocean, it's a stark reminder of our throwaway culture. Unlike air pollution, which can dissipate, plastic stays in the environment for centuries, breaking down into microplastics that harm wildlife and enter our food chain. It's a problem that feels very preventable with better habits and systems.
How do you feel when you hear about global warming? Is there hope for the future?
It can feel overwhelming and sometimes frightening, to be honest. The reports about melting ice caps and extreme weather are alarming. However, I do believe there is hope. My hope comes from the rapid development of renewable energy, like solar and wind power, which are becoming more efficient and affordable every year. I'm also encouraged by the growing global awareness and the fact that many young people are demanding action. The solution exists. We just need the collective will to implement it on a large scale.
Let's talk about that solution. Which type of energy do you think is the most environmentally friendly?
In my opinion, a combination of solar, wind, and geothermal energy is among the most environmentally friendly. Solar and wind power generate electricity with zero emissions during operation, and their fuel is infinite. Geothermal energy, which uses heat from within the earth, is also incredibly reliable and clean. While no energy source is perfect, as manufacturing the panels and turbines has an environmental cost, their overall impact is drastically lower than that of fossil fuels. They are crucial for reducing our reliance on coal and gas and slowing down global warming.
Shifting to another form of pollution, what do you know about light pollution? Do you think it is a serious issue?
Light pollution is the excessive or misdirected artificial light that brightens the night sky. It might seem less dangerous than chemical pollution, but I do think it's a serious issue. It disrupts ecosystems, confusing nocturnal animals and migrating birds. For humans, it wastes massive amounts of energy and denies us the beauty of the starry night sky, which is part of our natural heritage. It's a sign of inefficient energy use, which indirectly contributes to the greenhouse gas problem.
To what extent do you think plastic pollution is an issue?
I believe it's a massive global issue. The extent of the problem is almost unimaginable. Millions of tons of plastic enter our oceans every year, harming marine life that ingests it or gets entangled in it. On land, it clogs landfills and leaches chemicals into the soil and water. It's a problem that spans from local beaches to the deepest parts of the ocean, and solving it requires a global effort to reduce production, improve recycling, and find sustainable alternatives.
You mentioned greenhouse gases earlier. Are they a friend or an enemy?
That's an interesting question because they are naturally both. In a balanced amount, greenhouse gases like CO2 and methane are like a blanket for the Earth, keeping it warm enough for life to exist. So in that sense, they are friends. However, human activity has thickened this blanket too much. We've turned them into an enemy by releasing excessive amounts, trapping too much heat, and causing dangerous global warming and climate instability. The problem isn't their existence, but the unprecedented concentration we've created.
A practical urban question. Do you think cars should be banned from city centers?
I support significantly restricting them, if not an outright ban for non-essential traffic. Banning cars from city centers would drastically reduce air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, making the air healthier to breathe. It would also reduce noise pollution and create safer, more pleasant spaces for pedestrians and cyclists. Of course, this requires investing in excellent and affordable public transportation so that people can still move around easily and efficiently.
Here's a big picture dilemma. Which is more important, increasing people's standard of living or protecting the environment?
I don't believe we have to choose one over the other. In fact, I see them as deeply connected. A truly high standard of living must include clean air, safe drinking water, and a stable climate. If we pursue economic growth at the expense of the environment, we may have more material goods temporarily, but we will face worse health outcomes and higher costs from natural disasters in the long run. The goal should be sustainable development, which improves living standards while protecting the natural resources we all depend on.
What can be done to protect endangered species?
Protecting endangered species requires a multi-layered approach. The most direct action is to conserve and restore their natural habitats by creating protected areas and national parks. We also need to strictly enforce laws against poaching and illegal wildlife trade. Furthermore, addressing the larger threat of climate change is crucial, as it destroys ecosystems like coral reefs. Finally, public education is key to building support for conservation efforts and encouraging people to make choices that help preserve biodiversity.
Are companies more or less environmentally responsible now than they were in the past?
Overall, I would say they are more environmentally responsible, but out of necessity rather than pure altruism. Public pressure, government regulations, and the real economic risks of climate change have forced many companies to change. We now see more corporations committing to net zero emissions, reducing plastic in their packaging, and investing in renewable energy. However, there is still a long way to go, and greenwashing, where companies pretend to be greener than they are, remains a significant problem. The trend is positive, but the pace needs to increase.
Finally, looking at this image of a cracked, dry riverbed, what does it tell us from an environmental perspective?
This powerful image tells us several things. Firstly, it's a direct visual consequence of severe drought, which is becoming more common and intense due to global warming. It shows the critical issue of water scarcity, which threatens agriculture, ecosystems, and human communities. From a broader perspective, it symbolizes the imbalance we've created in our natural world. It serves as a stark warning that our resources are finite, and that climate change is already having devastating visible effects on our planet.